About 4 years ago, when I was in 4th grade at Tanglewood Elementary, we had a very special day there. It was called Artapalooza, and the day was spent having all the kids at school participate in a series of fun, interactive activities involving the arts. As a kid about 10 years old, this was absolute heaven. Not only did I get to miss a whole day's worth of school, but I got to put on my own play, make my own jewelry, listen to Pascal High School's wonderful jazz band, and do my favorite, learn how to dance the Irish jig. What was there not to love? But being the curious little kid I probably still am today, I had a few questions. The first was, wow, why can't every day be like this? But the second was, wait, why do we do all this? I didn't know much as a kid, but I didn't really think that I was going to be required to dance the Irish jig as an adult. Although it probably would have been pretty funny to see me try with the skills and coordination I have now. But as I grew older and decidedly more curious, I began to form an answer to this simple question. How many of you here sing or act? Or if you're less coordinated like me, write, read, or draw? Well, I've come to the conclusion that all of these things, even if they seem a little unique and are sometimes considered not necessary, really do have an impact on our ordinary lives. Take music, for instance. I'm sure half of us here sing in a choir, play an instrument, or if you're like me, sing in the shower. And this is all great, but the one question I've asked myself many times is, wait, why? Sure, it's a chance for parents to show off their child's wonderful abilities, or lack of abilities, but that can't be the only reason. And it's not. Studies show that music actually helps in education. And a study with over 25,000 middle and high schools participating, it was found that students with music in their lives scored higher than those without on academic assignments. I mean, wow, this is amazing. I kind of wish I had paid more attention to my piano lessons now. And for all of you people going into college, the College Entrance Examination Board found that students with music experience scored an average of 50 points higher on the verbal and mathematics sections of the SAT. I mean, it sounds like a good deal to me. Harvard, here I come. And music can also help us connect with society. I know that at least once I've just walked up to somebody I barely known and been like, hey you, what's your favorite type of music? And we can start a conversation that way because people really do love to talk about their passions and what they like. Looking back on my experiences with music now at Artapalooza, I think it was no coincidence they existed and have helped me to become the person I am today. Another great thing that I love about Artapalooza is performing arts. As a kid, I loved to take ballet. You should have seen me. I would plie, pirouette, and turn all day, listening to all kinds of classical music. I had this dream that I was going to be a famous ballerina and dance the Nutcracker all year long. Fortunately, that didn't work out because the lessons became too much time. But in my free time, I got to join theater at my school, Trinity Valley School. The first year I joined, we put on The Little Mermaid. I was so excited, and I had this dream that I was going to be Ariel, the star of the show. Well, it didn't really work out, as I was a seagull. But it was still one of the most exciting times I've ever had. And I learned so much. I learned about confidence, about public speaking, and remembering your lines when you're in front of people. And most of all, hard work. Performing arts can also be really entertaining. I know my mom used to take me and my sister, and there's a picture of us up there, to the ballet in Casa Manana every year to watch different shows. And when I was there, I admired the feelings of community and friendship and all of Fort Worth coming together to just enjoy a simple event that people shared their passions with. Looking back on this, I think that it was also no coincidence that this existed because it's helped me to become the person I am. Next part I want to talk about is literature. You can go so far with literature, even if you're just sitting in the same place reading a book. But let me get this straight. I love reading. This is not like the, oh yeah, I read the book, that's gonna be a movie, so that way I'm not completely clueless. No. This is like to walk into the library and pick 30 books up, then go home and stay up till 2 in the morning reading it because you just have to know what happens. You really do. And then crying at the end because it was so good and now it's over and they all lived happily ever after. Or they all died, depending on what kind of books you like. This is Harry Potter, Shakespeare, Mark Twain, John Grisham. There's about a 50% chance I've read it. And it's no wonder that my parents tried to get me into this, and succeeded, I might say. Because studies show that literature actually helps you with your emotional intelligence, the way you react with the world, and the way that you communicate with people and form positive relationships. Literature also helps us with everyday basics that we know, like writing, vocabulary, school, jobs, and essentially your future. So I also think that this should be important. Now the next one is art. I love art. I love stepping into Amon Carter or the Modern Art Museum and looking at all the things. I can just stand there and stare at one painting for like 30 minutes, and it's still fun. I still get a lot of stuff out of it. And art can really help us with education. At Artapalooza, we used to have several art projects that I would do. We would paint, we would draw. I even illustrated my own book. But little did I know, all these things that were adding up that I did at Artapalooza and that are still at home, they were helping me with something else that I didn't know, that was hidden behind the scenes, the skills I would need for the future. Fran Smith of the George Lucas Educational Foundation said, involvement in art is associated with gains in math, reading, cognitive ability, critical thinking, and verbal skill. I mean, I didn't know I gained all that from just sitting down and drawing something that I thought in my head. That's crazy. It can also help us with society and making a positive impact. During several of my grade years at school, we had this contest called Imagine a World Without Violence, or Safe City. And it was all about creating pieces of artwork that reflected a city without violence and without bullying. During my 6th grade year, I won this contest, and my painting is up there on the bottom. And when I went to see everybody else's pieces of artwork, I was so amazed with how wonderful and how much feeling was in here. And I just remember thinking, wait, if the whole world could see this, violence would be gone. Like nobody would step outside because all this positive feeling was bottled up. And I was like, wow. So art is also really essential. As I leave you here today, the one thing I want you to get away from this is to try something new in the arts, whether it be participating in an art contest, participating in a play, or even dancing the Irish jig. Because all these things affect us in ways we can never begin to imagine. And if we all see that, we can use it to create a world that is much more meaningful. Some people already see it. The Imagine No Arts or Safe Cities, the Imagine No Violence or Safe City contest sees it. TVS Drama and theater sees it. But most importantly, the people that put on Artapalooza and rooted the love of fine arts so young in kids see it. So I'm going to leave the choice up to you today. Are you going to see it? Because if enough of us do, we can use this to create something that is much better. Because that question that I asked myself at Artapalooza, wow, why can't every day be like this? You know what the answer to that is? Yes, it can be. So join me, take my hand, and let's make every day like that. Let's make every day the world's own personal Artapalooza. Thank you.